Hello, and welcome to AdvantageOne's webinar on OK Alone. Today I'm joined with Ryan, a lone worker expert and Vice President of Sales at OK Alone, who will walk us through what OK Alone is, how it protects lone workers, and how to roll it out smoothly through Geotab. I'll be co-hosting this e-session and fielding your questions. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll send the replay later today. Please post your questions anytime in the Q&A, and I'll pass them over to Ryan. Ryan, over to you to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. And yeah, appreciate your time, everyone. So to get things started, let me just see if I can get these slides to move over. There we go. There we go. So we'll be talking through something that is completely different. So OK Alone, specifically, we are the only solution in the Geotab marketplace that is solely focused on the driver themselves. So we want to make sure that we can figure out ways to solve more problems for potential clients that potential clients that have isolated workers or workers who work at remote sites, or even just the drivers themselves. So by partnering with OK Alone, this allows you to get a greater share of, potentially how this can roll out to a larger audience. Who we are. So OK Alone is the fastest growing tech company based in North America. And we are backed by the largest provider of personal safety technology in the world, which is PeopleSafe. So currently we are protecting a little bit over 300,000 active users globally. And we protect people in every industry you can think of. So from government organizations through to blue chips and everything in between. And like I mentioned, we're a global company, so we have worldwide coverage. We have customers in over 30 countries, which include Canada, the US, Australia, most of Europe. And our solution is scalable. It's app-based technology that makes it perfect for any size organization and allows us to protect people across the globe. And like I mentioned, we have customers pretty much everywhere, and anyone who needs it. And we are very proud of that. We are actually the highest rated lone worker app on both the Apple and Android app stores. So who's it for? In simplest terms, it's for everyone. So we work with any industry where there are people working alone or in risky situations, who need monitoring and protecting. So this is from government organizations to utilities, construction to retailers. We work with a diverse range of organizations to keep their people safe 24/7. And then through Geotab, this includes truck and delivery drivers who are often by themselves, in and out of their vehicles frequently while they work. So through our integration with Geotab, those drivers can be monitored and called for help whenever they need it. And another key message here is it's not obviously for people, or not just for people who work alone, but for the whole organization. This could be teams who work in pairs, but also for people who are alone for a small portion of their day. So we don't think of it as just individuals who are driving the assets or driving the vehicles. There's probably other departments within your organizations that could really utilize a lone worker solution or an SOS application. And then there's the duty of care aspect. So every employer, no matter where they're located, has a duty of care for their employees. And good news is that state or provincial or provinces doesn't have specific legislation that employers are still liable of duty for care for the employees, but it's that, that you're trying to push a safety culture internally and just making sure that you have something to address your isolated workforce. So we're seeing legislation on the rise across different states and potentially federal levels. So specifically on the western side, so we have California, British Columbia that have adopted workplace violence prevention acts, lone worker policies, where it actually requires organizations to have maybe frequent check-ins. I know there's a heat advisory law in California as well. So anyone working in isolation and potentially high heat situations. And then employees are often referred to as the company's greatest assets. So current trackers on vehicles only track 50% or less of the organization's asset. By adding OK Alone, employers can protect 100% of their assets through our partnership with Geotab. So how does OK Alone support Geotab clients? OK Alone became a Geotab marketplace partner back in 2019. So we're coming up on 6 years here. And it's really extending their fleet monitoring to include driver monitoring and more safety features. So we know Geotab is experts at asset tracking and everything that goes into that. But we're the experts in protecting that driver when they get outside the vehicle. So I'll touch on how that looks and really works for us. So what do we do and how do we protect your people? In essence, our service is getting immediate help to your people when they're in an emergency, whether they are in or out of a vehicle. So we have a web-based dashboard that is fully integrated into the Geotab dashboard, but we have our own standalone platform as well. So you can manage your OK Alone account in My Geotab using our install add-in. There's no extra login required, and monitors and workers can import from Geotab with a single click. So we have all that data readily available, and it's a quick import into our system and getting your teams to start using the OK Alone add-on. And I think most importantly is that you can see all the workers' locations and the status in one dashboard. So when you're looking at it from a Geotab perspective, you can see where that asset is, and if an employee gets outside the vehicle, where have they traveled to, where are they, and if something happens outside that vehicle, you're able to see what may have occurred, where they were in retrospect, how close were they to that vehicle. So it gives you full visibility of not just where the vehicle is, but where the person is. And then when we're looking at it from an app perspective, this is actually what your drivers or your lone workers will be using. So we have our own standalone platform, which you can see a quick screenshot of that. That is the OK Alone app. But we're also available on the Geotab Drive app. So we can it adds location tracking, a panic button, other safety features to Geotab. That also means automated start and end shifts plus vehicle updating, and then drive mode for automated check-in. So they aren't required to check in while they're on the road, but when they stop that vehicle and get outside that vehicle, we might have a standard maybe 1 hour or 2 hour check-in for that driver. And then for those individuals who don't use Geotab, but you might identify them as lone workers or isolated workers, our standalone platform works just as well. So we have a full suite of safety features, flexible timers. We have worker down functionality. So this detects the physical movement of the smartphone. So if someone's unconscious outside the vehicle for, let's say, 5 minutes, our app can detect that and immediately automate that alert directly to supervisors, managers, responders. And it's really just being able to increase that time of response. So a lot of these features are automated and create levels of push notifications out to the supervisors or managers from an admin perspective.
So you do have a quick question coming in here from Andrew, just asking, he said he's been very interested in getting into something like this, but how do you go about tackling concerns about employees being tracked and or monitored? I know that's a common question.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So, the biggest thing is that the app itself, it's only tracking your location when you start a shift or start a session. So if I go back here, you can see, there we go. You can see end now. So I'm actively being monitored at that time. So it's up to them or the lone worker or the driver to decide when they are working alone and when they aren't. And they're not being tracked outside of business hours. And it's really just meant to be a safety tool. It's not a tracking tool. So I think more often than not, I get asked, is this Big Brother tracking me? Is this a tracking solution? But in reality, it's not. So really good question. So how does OKLoan support Geotab clients? With the Geotab map integration, with our My Geotab map add-in, we see where the workforces are at all times. So that includes all the assets and the teams. So within our platform, you can see or structure things in teams. So people structure it based on the job sites that they work at, the people that they report to, their job roles potentially. So we can emulate whatever you're doing inside Geotab directly into the OKLoan dashboard, so that you have a seamless transition as far as organizational hierarchy, or any sort of organizational changes you make. We can replicate that in our solution as well. And really a core part of our technology service is that you have the ability to check in or check out of shifts in Geotab. So this can be linked automatically to when the driver starts and turns off their vehicle. This enables you to see when a driver has checked in, out of their shift, provides enhanced protection during this time. So like I mentioned, we're tracking the asset, that vehicle is being tracked, but then we can continue that location tracking when they leave the vehicle as well. Awesome. So this is kind of just a little bit of an overview. So you have the My Geotab dashboard add-on, like we mentioned. We have the Geotab Drive app and the OKLoan app. So we have it as standalone as well as in the add-on within the Drive app. Very similar functionalities. Obviously, it's overlaid in the Geotab platform, and then the full My Geotab map integration. So being able to see both the assets and the employees, and then the teams or groups associated to those vehicles or those people. Awesome. So there is a component to our solution where there's different ways that you can track or basically respond to alerts in our system. So one of which is you can manage those alerts internally. So that could be an internal manager, site supervisor, fleet manager, whoever you decide. If an alert gets triggered, like an SOS or a missed check-in, or even a man down alert, those alerts will get sent to that supervisor, whether text message, email, phone call. So we do have a lot of our client base that use that, but also we have our own 24/7 monitoring center where we would manage those alerts on your behalf. So, if someone triggers an alert at, let's say, 2 in the morning, we would be the ones reaching out to those individuals, try to understand what's happening. And then ultimately we can escalate to emergency services, police, potentially anywhere across the US or Canada. So it's really about, do you have or want to have that responsibility on an internal supervisor, or would you like that to be handled by OKLoan? So we do have that. And we hold our team to a very high KPI. So they're professionally trained agents who know how to react to quickly and calmly in crisis. I believe on average, they responded to alerts within 3.5 seconds of them being triggered. So this is all real-time alarm handling. And it's really about having a customized help with our action plan. So there's a written procedure for handling these alerts. And if we can't get a hold of those employees, we want to be able to escalate that internally to someone within the organization. So there's a whole level of hierarchy that we would create, and basically make sure that someone is getting responded to as quickly as possible. So that is an option for those of you that see benefit in using our monitoring service. So OKLoan in action. We wanted to highlight just some companies that are currently being protected by OKLoan. So you can see some larger organizations here like Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, CBRE. So just by looking at this list, you can see that our customer base is in pretty much any industry you can think of. We actually were founded, our first customer was a healthcare home health organization out of Canada. So it really just depends on what you define as a lone worker. But at the end of the day, there's lone workers in pretty much any industry you can think of. And this just really highlights that. And then here are just a few of our customers specifically. So we work with the city of Kelowna. So that specifically their building services, water meter reading teams, parking and bylaws services. So they have identified multiple departments within the city that are working in isolation. And specifically with them, they might only have 50 assets, but they could have 300 loan workers within the organization. So it's not just about what pairs up directly with Geotab, because we do have that standalone functionality that this can be accessible by pretty much anyone that needs it. And then we have the city of Henderson out of Nevada. So we work with their electrical and HVAC teams, field operations, meter services, water operations. A lot of them potentially working in remote areas as well, and even with poor cell coverage. So we want to make sure that the app works. And in those different areas, we can pair our app actually up to satellite devices. So if you have individuals who work in areas with very remote coverage, we partner with Zoleo, Garmin, SpotX devices. So we can actually pair the OK Loan app up to a satellite provider like one of those. So we want to make sure that if you're in a remote area, an alert can still get sent through regardless of service. And then we also do protect, I believe, 2,500 correctional officers within the Florida Department of Corrections. But there's other departments that are using it as well. So kind of a wide range of customers we support. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that these different groups and these different teams are being responded to. And by using OK Loan with the add-in with Geotab, we're able to automate a lot of those processes with emergency response, alert handling, and then any sort of compliance reasons for when it comes to EHS or OSHA fines. So just a little bit of an overview there. And then really just wanted to cap it off and just talk about some key takeaways. So like I mentioned earlier, we are the only tech in the marketplace focused on your people. So it's not just the vehicle and the physical assets, the individual person themselves. And then that seamless integration to Geotab. So we have the add-ons, we have the map overlay, we have the add-on in the Drive application as well. So it can apply to all three, but you don't have to use all three integrations if you don't see benefit. And then having that visibility where the asset is, where the employee is, and an alert pops up on the map, we're going to send it through a level of automation, whether to internal supervisors or our monitoring center, just depending on what your needs are. And then like I said, we do have a 99% customer retention rate. So when customers come on board, they typically don't leave, which is a good thing. Our product is always being developed and improved. Our product roadmap is changing. So we're constantly adding new features that our customers can use and really just help improve their safety initiatives. And yeah, I really do appreciate your time. I guess from here, any questions?
Yeah, we got a few coming in here, both regarding low or weak service areas. One from Marcy, which I do believe you answered. I just wanted to get clarification for both Marcy as well for Matthew, kind of similar questions here. Looking to see if OK Alone can improve the no service areas. And then the second from Matthew, kind of the same question here. How does the app work if the workers are outside of cell coverage or if they're in a weak signal area?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So first off, the app will first try to connect to Wi-Fi. If there's no Wi-Fi in that area, it will resort to cellular data and then if you don't have any cellular data, that's when we operate in what we call low coverage mode. So the app will actually send alerts through as an SMS text message or a phone call. So you might not be able to browse the internet on your phone or use any other app. OK Alone continues to work in those low coverage areas. But we work with customers, specifically like forestry companies, where they're in the middle of nowhere and their phone shows SOS, no signal. That's actually when we would pair it up to one of those satellite providers like Garmin, Zoleo, or SpotX. And that actually gives you 100% global coverage when you're out in the field. So just depends on your needs and what you have, but we can accommodate all levels of coverage, whether that's Wi-Fi, data, low coverage, or no coverage.
Perfect. Thanks so much. We got another one here from Andrew. saying thanks for the presentation. When you raise an alarm from the app, is it only through a button or are there other methods?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a few different ways you can trigger the alert. So you can trigger it through the OK Loan app as well as within the Drive app. But we also have Shake for Help option. So we can physically shake your phone and that will automatically send through an SOS. So your lock screen can actually be on and you shake your phone, it immediately sends through those alerts. You can use voice commands. So I can say on my iPhone, I can say Siri help or Siri panic. That will trigger an SOS. You can tap the back of your phone 3 times on newer iPhones. I believe Android allows you to use the power button. So there's different methods based on Android or iOS as well that you can trigger those alerts. But I would say most popular are Shake for Help and then using those voice commands like I mentioned.
Wonderful. We got another one coming in from Marcy here, just looking for more reviews about OK Loan. Do you offer those reviews on your website, or are there somewhere else that people can find more reviews about your product?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have a full, full resource hub of case studies and customer testimonials. And I believe there's some, I can't think of the name, but there are some external sites that customers do leave reviews on. So you'd have to look into that. But yes, we have a ton of case studies and testimonials we'd be happy to share with you.
Wonderful. We got another one in here from Matthew, just looking to see about battery usage for your phones as well as data usage. They say battery is a less issue because most vehicles have chargers in them, but just looking to see if it does end up using a lot of battery and or data.
Yeah, that's a good question. So as far as data, our solution uses less than 10 megabytes of data per month. So very minuscule. It really requires little to no data. As far as battery life, the only thing that's using battery is tracking the GPS location from the phone. So we have a setting in the OK Loan app where you can change the frequency of your location being tracked. So we have GPS high, GPS normal, and non-GPS. So GPS high means that OK Loan is sending location data every 10 seconds. So we're getting constant updates, which uses a little bit more phone battery. So if someone has an outdated phone, we don't recommend that. GPS normal is typically 1 to 2 minutes. It'll send your location. And then non-GPS, we consider that battery saver mode. So it'll really only send your location when a help signal is sent through, a missed check-in occurs, worker down, really irregular location tracking. And we have customers who work 14-hour shifts and they have that on and they don't see any major increase in their battery usage. So you can toggle one of those 3 options to help improve battery.
That is awesome to hear. We've got one last one here mentioning man down. How does that man down feature work inside your app?
Yeah, so we use the accelerometer technology within the smartphone to detect movements. And in the settings of the OK Loan app, you can set a time interval. So I can have it set at, let's say, 5 minutes. So if I haven't physically moved for 5 minutes, obviously it requires me to have my phone on me, whether it's in my pocket or I'm holding on to it. But if the phone hasn't detected physical movement within that time frame, an automated alert will get sent through to the level of escalation and context for those that need to receive the alert. But alternatively, we can also change the sensitivity required. So we can have a high, medium, or low sensitivity. So if they don't do a ton of movement, you might want it at a higher sensitivity so it's not triggering any sort of false alerts, but that can always be modified and changed at any point.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That is all the questions we currently have. Unless anybody has anything else, we might be able to wrap it up a bit early here, give everybody some time back. But otherwise, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for the information, Ryan. We really appreciate it here. And if you have any questions about OK Loan, feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to reach out to my team here and get information provided back to you as soon as possible.
Awesome.
We'll just give everybody a minute or two to see if anybody has any questions, but looks like everybody's wrapping it up. All right, I'm not seeing anything else coming in here. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this has been recorded and everybody will receive a copy of this recording as well for your own personal use. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I'd be happy to get those answers for you. Thanks again, Ryan, for hosting today. Really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Have a great afternoon,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.